it's like euphoria and horniness and stimulation and energy and focus all mixed into one. It's crazy. So that did feel, especially in comparison to cocaine, it felt like cocaine 2.0.
I have to ask you, speaking of the base pleasure, if you were going to separate long-term fulfillment from all the drugs that you tried, what's the best physical sensation you think you've ever felt on drugs or a combination of drugs?
The two I mentioned, mephedrone. The first times I did that, and mixing. I fucking don't want to encourage it because it's such like, it feels, when you do it, you feel like almost like an alchemist, like this is too powerful, I shouldn't be able to do this. But mixing amphetamines and GHB, to be honest, is so fucking nice. But I wonder, like, it was a good thing that I was doing it with my girlfriend and we were able to kind of exercise these aspects of it. Because part of me is like, if I did that by myself, I would be trying to pick up women, I'd be going to prostitutes, I'd be like, I don't know what I would be doing, to be honest, like if I had done it on my own, because it's so, it's like euphoria and horniness and stimulation and energy and focus all mixed into one. It's crazy. So that did feel, especially in comparison to cocaine, it felt like cocaine 2.0, because you get some of that with cocaine, you get the kind of horniness and the stimulation and but this was like, you take the GHB after the speed and you never really come down. It fades. Instead of coming down, you fade into the GHB. That shit was like dangerously nice, to be honest. I don't know if there's really a nicer a combination of in terms of a more wholesome and a high that you look back on with more fondness, a combination of an empathogen like MDMA with a psychedelic is fucking nice as well. Like that really is my favorite. If I'm actually saying my favorite thing to do, and a thing that I would probably always like to do, it's that. And that is a much more, you look back, you know, the next day you're like, oh, that was a really good night. I'm glad I did that. So things like mixing 4-HOMET with 5-MAPB and a little bit of caffeine, that's one of my favorite things ever, because they blend beautifully. You're sort of tripping and you're in an interesting headspace, but you've got this euphoria, so you're not having to deal with the weirdness of the trip, which is kind of cheating and limits some of the interestingness of it. But you've got these beautiful visuals and you feel so good and you feel chatty and stuff, but you're also having interesting thoughts and you've got a sense of humor from the psychs and stuff. So it's really good.
And the two drugs you just mentioned, one of those is like an alternative to an LSD compound, and the other one is MDMA, like an alternative to that compound.
Roughly, I always found 4-HOMET to be similar kind of to acid. People have told me that it's more closely related to shrooms. I haven't really got much experience with shrooms. And 5-MAPB, it's like if you took MDMA and you removed all the stimulating effects, so you're not really grinding your teeth, your heart rate isn't really going too high. Sometimes people take too much for that reason, because they're waiting to feel something that's not coming. So it's actually much better to mix it with something a little bit energizing, because otherwise it can be hard to notice it. But as soon as you throw a bit of caffeine or some psychedelics in there, like it's really nice. And it's more of a sort of soft, warm kind of blanket feeling than MDMA. It's not quite so, because MDMA can be quite intense and it feels very much like you're on a drug. 5-MAPB feels a bit more relaxed.